Hey guys, how we doing? I am Nathan Zaltsman. We are going to be doing some Major League Baseball talk today. Some big news out of the MLB. First, we have, of course, the Boston-Los Angeles trade. We're going to be talking that. Who will win that trade now and who will win it into the future. We're doing some bold predictions from each division, every single one in the AL and NL. As well as always with my show, Major League Talk, I'm going to finish with my power rankings of the top 5 teams in all of baseball. So let's get started right away. Let's go first to the Boston-Los Angeles trade. I saw this a few days ago. I haven't been getting Twitter on my phone lately. So I got it through MLB.com that the Dodgers and Red Sox were were trying to pull off a trade. So I thought, it's probably going to be a small trade after the non-waiver deadline, and I looked at it, and it's some of the Red Sox main players who ended up going in that trade. We have Egon, Josh Beckett, Carl Crawford, Nick Punto going to the Dodgers from the Red Sox in exchange for Alan Webster and Ivan DeJesus, as well as 2 players to be named later. So, who won that trade now is probably the question. Well, the obvious answer is probably the Los Angeles Dodgers. They acquired four pretty good players. Egon, Beckett, Crawford, and Punto. We're going to talk about those players right now. We're going to start with Crawford, and there's not a lot talked about with him right now. It's because he is coming off Tommy John surgery. He's been injured, and he was injured for a lot of his career with the Boston Red Sox. He is not going to make an immediate impact right now. But if he can stay healthy for the Los Angeles Dodgers, I think he can return to a good form. Will it ever be the Carl Crawford that was with the Rays and that the Red Sox were hoping for when they signed him? I don't think that's ever going to happen again. But will he be better than he was with the Red Sox if he stays healthy? Yes, I think that's probably not even a question. I think he can be a pretty or above average leadoff hitter. He's probably going to steal 40 bases a year and hit somewhere around 280, 290. Moving on to Nick Punto now. That was he's not a starting second baseman or infield. He's the type of guy who can come off the bench and play a lot of positions. Just kind of a throw-in guy who's a utility guy. But let's move on to the big names now. Beckett and Adrian Gonzalez. Josh Beckett, an interesting one. He was an ace with the Red Sox for a while. He had very good years with them. And then he had some problems within the clubhouse. There was a report that he was drinking beer and eating fried chicken during the games with John Lester. He did not have a good year at all this year, neither did any of the Red Sox pitchers. So the question is for Beckett, will moving to Los Angeles make that big of a difference? My answer for that is simply not really. Now, we do have to realize that this is the NL West, not the AL East. So there's not nearly as good hitters in the NL West. There are some big ballparks like AT&T and Petco. Now, it's obviously a better pitchers league than the AL East. Now, do I think he's going to pitch better? I mean, the logical answer would be yes, just because it's not the AL East with all the big bats and small parks. But I don't think he's going to make that big of a difference. At the most, in the Dodgers rotation, he'll probably be the third pitcher. Probably won't even be that. So just a guy that kind of comes in and gives the Dodgers another pitcher in the rotation to work with. And then finally, definitely the biggest piece in that trade, Adrian Gonzalez. He made an immediate impact with the Dodgers last night. He had a home run in his first at-bat, 3-run shot. They beat the Marlins that game. He is the only one that's going to have a big impact on the Dodgers. That's pretty obvious right now. Punto is the type of guy who may start once in a while. I'm not sure where they have him now, but he's a good backup at the most. Beckett's not going to be great. Crawford's still injured. I think Adrian Gonzalez is going to have a good end of the season with the Los Angeles Dodgers. We're going to get into the whole playoff race in the NL West a little bit later, but I think he's going to help them right now. Can he help them down the road? He's the type of guy who he's aging a little bit. I think that he's going to be decent, but he's going to start. I think he's going to start declining a little bit now. He's getting a little bit older, and I think he's going to help this year. So the Red Sox side of the deal, I feel like these are going to be one of these trades where we're going to look back 3 years from now. We're going to say, wow, I think the Red Sox really run that trade. They're getting a few guys back in return that can be pretty good. So what the Red Sox got back, they got Alan Webster, Ivan DeJesus, and then 2 players to be named later. Truthfully, I'm not the type of guy who you could ask about any prospect in the league and give you an answer. But I've done a little bit of research on Webster and DeJesus. They seem like good prospects. Webster is the number 2 prospect in the Dodgers organization. Type of guy who can throw up or about mid-90s, get up to 95, but he has a really, really heavy sinker. It's not the type of guy that's going to strike out a lot. But it's good to keep the ball down, especially in a type of park like Fenway where average fly balls to left field end up over the green monster. DeJesus is the type of guy who was almost forgotten because a few years ago he injured his leg in spring training, and he was this big prospect, but suddenly everyone just forgot about him. He's really good. He's got a lot of potential. If he can stay healthy, he can be a good guy in the future. And then we get to the players to be named later. Now, of course, we don't know for sure who they are, but a lot of people are saying Jerry Sands and Ruby De La Rosa for the Red Sox. Now, Jerry Sands, I'm going to tell you the truth, I don't know much about. I know he has a lot of potential, but Ruby De La Rosa is a very, very interesting prospect. He was signed by the Dodgers a few years ago. He has loads of potential. He's got nasty stuff. He's got pretty good velocity on it. Now, the wild card is that he got injured. He had Tommy John surgery pretty recently. He's trying to recover from that, but if he can keep the velocity up, and he still has that stuff that he had when the Dodgers signed him to be that big prospect that he was, it is going to be a steal. I think he could be the best return in this deal if he stays healthy. He's got a lot of potential and has this nasty stuff. I can guarantee you, if he is indeed the player to be named later, as most people believe he is, he probably will be the best return for the Red Sox. He can be just nasty when he's on. So, like I said, baseball is one of those things where you trade your best guys to get guys in return that could be even better in the future. I think that the Red Sox are going to look back and glad they made this trade, because now they have all this cap room. They have a bunch of really young guys who I believe could turn out to be better than the guys they have right now. So, we are going to move on now. Bold predictions from each division. I have my predictions right here. We're going to jump in right away with the NL West. My bold prediction. So we all know the Dodgers just made this trade. I predict this will still come down to the last series. I don't think the Giants are going to roll over and die now. I think that especially if they can get a few of their pitchers back who've been struggling a little bit lately, I think it's still going to come down to the last series. Who makes the playoffs? I mean, the Dodgers pretty obviously have a lot better offense than the Giants, especially with Cabrera suspended, and who knows how Pablo's going to stay healthy. I can't tell you who's going to win that division. I'm probably leaning towards the Dodgers, but the Giants are not out of it by a long shot. It will come down to that final series. It will be really fun to watch. So let's move on to the NL Central now. This is the home of the Pittsburgh Pirates, the surprising team, but who have fallen off recently. They are now out of the playoffs at the moment. If the season ended today, they would not make the playoffs. The Cardinals have taken over that second wild card behind the Atlanta Braves out in the East. And so the question is, can the Pittsburgh Pirates rebound from this recent struggle they've had? A lot of people are probably saying yes. I am saying no. The Pittsburgh Pirates, this is a bold prediction. The Pirates will not be in a playoff spot for the rest of the year. They're gonna keep sliding now. Will it be like a 9-game losing streak that they had last year after the All-Star break? Probably not. Do they finish over 500? They might finish around 500. That wouldn't be surprised if they finish over. But they will not have a playoff spot. The Cardinals are going to take the second wild card, and it is going to be a good wild card matchup between the Cardinals and the Braves. Out to the NL East. The Atlanta Braves are a very strong team behind an even stronger Washington Nationals. There's a lot of divisions. Atlanta would probably be the best team. And I'm predicting boldly that the Atlanta Braves will finish within 3 games of the Washington Nationals. They will not win the division. I think the Nationals are too strong, even without Stephen Strasburg when they shut him down. But I think that Atlanta still will finish close. They're going to take that first wild card, and it's going to be a really good game. I don't think you can count the Cardinals out in that wild card game because they are a strong team. And I was saying about a month ago that no one can forget about the Cardinals. They surprised a lot of people last year. I think they surprised a lot of people again. But you got to watch out for them. But the Atlanta Braves are still a very dangerous team. I wouldn't count on them to not just die and kind of take the wild card. They're going to be pushing and try to win that division. I think Nationals still going to do it. I wouldn't be surprised if Atlanta finishes up strong. Moving out to the AL now. This is an interesting division because we have two strong teams that started the season in the Angels, who had a huge offseason, and the Texas Rangers, who have been to the World Series for the last 2 years. And then suddenly, the Oakland A's come along and start surprising everybody. Now, my prediction for this is I think the Rangers are going to make the playoffs. I have no doubt in my mind they're going to make the playoffs. They might even get back to the World Series for a third straight time. Who knows? They might win it this year. I think that neither the Angels nor the A's are going to make the playoffs. They are both not in the playoffs. I don't care where they are now. The Angels have been sliding a little bit. The A's are still strong, though. I'm predicting neither of them makes the wild card. They will both go home before October this year. And I know that a lot of people like the Angels. I know that a lot of people like the A's, but it's nothing to take away from them. I mean, the Angels, besides that bullpen, are a very, very strong team. And the A's are one of those teams that, you think the A's, you don't think that great, but then you look on paper at some of the guys, and they have a really good young offense. But there are just better teams out there, which brings us to the AL Central. Now, a while ago on a few other shows, I did believe that Detroit was going to win that division. I have changed my mind. I'm taking that back. The Chicago White Sox are going to win that division straight up. They have a strong pitching rotation. A lot of people don't give them credit for that. Chris Sale, one of the best young pitchers in the game, he came up the same year he got drafted as a reliever. Now he's in the rotation, wreaking havoc on other teams. And a lot of guys, I was recently watching 2 games. I looked at Jake Peavy's stats. He's having a very, very good year. I have heard almost nothing about him, but he's having a very, very good year in that Chicago rotation. I would not be surprised if they go deep into the playoffs. Second prediction, I do think that Detroit's going to make the playoffs. I do think that they're also going to get knocked out in the wild card game. They're going to take the second wild card behind the Rays, and I think the Rays, who have been red hot lately, a lot of people think they might even overtake the Yankees at some point. I don't agree with that. But the red hot Rays are going to stay red hot, and they are going to knock out the Detroit Tigers in the wild card round. And now the AL East. So you've heard my first two things about first two teams in that, the Yankees and the Rays. I think that's going to stay the way it is. I think the Yankees are going to win the division. I don't know by how much, but they're going to win it. And I think the Rays are going to take that first wild card. Here it is, though. Baltimore Orioles are going to be at least 5 games out of a playoff spot by the end of the season. I'm completely mind-boggled on how the Baltimore Orioles are still in the playoff race. If you look at them on paper, they should be awful. They should be awful. I'm not sure what their run differential is now, but I looked at it a few weeks ago. It was minus 40 around there. It was worse than the Seattle Mariners, who are red hot, by the way, lately. Not in the playoffs by any standard, but watch out for them next year. Baltimore, I still think that they're going to collapse eventually. That doesn't mean they're going to lose 10 straight and they're going to just implode and finish 10 games under 500. They might finish above 500, but I don't think they're going to be anywhere near the playoffs by the end of the season. So, you've heard my bold predictions. Just going over it again, it's going to be close in the NL West. I do think in the end that the Dodgers will probably win that division just with the new acquisitions. I don't think they're going to go far in the playoffs. And it's going to be close. I think that NL Central, the Reds easily win that division. NL East, it's going to be the Nationals. AL West is going to be the Rangers again. And then, as I said, AL Central, I think it is going to be the White Sox this year. Tigers taking the wild card. White Sox, watch out for them. They can be dangerous. And then I think the Yankees are going to pretty easily take the AL East. Let's move on to our final segment of the day. Might have one more thing if we have time, but I usually like to end with my power ranking. So I last had a show 2 weeks ago. I couldn't get a show in last week. 2 weeks ago, my power rankings were The Yankees at number 5, Braves at number 4, Rangers at number 3,